Oh, I do love our Wednesdays, Lisa.
They're so funny, aren't they? What's really funny is just before we've started this podcast, we've been on the phone to each other for like an hour, bashing ideas out.
Yeah, and bashing each other for not communicating things properly.
You know what? We should discuss this actually, because as much as we love each other and we always have so much fun, what people probably don't see is our absolute, like marital arguments that we have.
It's also our brains don't work in the same way. So we actually sometimes doing things and think, why is that dick doing that?
Oh, we are so different. Like we really are. I just think it's incredible that not only have we been best friends since I was 11, but that we actually work together successfully.
I know you do hear that working together destroys relationships and friendships. They say don't mix business and pleasure, but we just have loads of pleasure with our business.
Yeah, we do. And we've learned so much about each other. Like if we were drinking, we could never have worked together.
Oh, well, unless we were working behind a bar like we used to.
Oh, yeah, we were pretty good at that. Oh, yeah, so that's a lie. We could have worked together.
Just pissed. Well, today we've got a bit of a different podcast, I think. Do you know what I mean by different? You're nodding as if to say, what's she going to say?
well, you know why? Because you say it. This is how different we are, right? Because you're like, yeah, we've got a different podcast. I have no idea what's in your head. And because we've not done the podcast, I have no idea if it's different or not.
Well, normally we kind of know a little bit more about the person we're interviewing, is what I mean. We've either read a book or we're friends with them or we've spent time with them in another domain. And not always, but we've got Clemmie Telford on today. Now, we have met Clemmie on the sober sessions and we met Clemmie via Dave, didn't we?
Yeah.
But we didn't get enough chance to talk to her properly about her sober journey because it was a really mixed group. So when I say different, I mean the same.
So this podcast is the same as every other podcast we've ever done.
But with Clemmie Telford instead.
So yeah, you're right. It's very different.
On that note, let's introduce her. Hi Clemmie, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm not going to let you get away with this.
I wouldn't either, Clemmie.
Off mic, I came on and the opening line was that I look really different like on video than I do on photos. Not even like in real life. It's like my moving image is different from my still image. And I just I do not know what to do with that information, but it's one of the weirdest, most funny things I've heard in a while.
Can we just be clear as well that it was Alex that said this and not Lisa?
Yeah,
Lisa's
washing her hands of this weird.
Yeah.
Can we also just be clear that I have no rational explanation for it? I have no rational explanation for where it came from. Can't justify it, can't qualify it, and don't even know if I mean it now. But
you can't even give me any substance.
There's nothing.
It's just that sometimes just interesting that I move rather than not move.
I think she even said shock. Did she even say shock?
But do you know what it is, right? What happened? Right, I am going to just go into it a little bit more, and it will not make any more sense. So this is a pointless exercise, right?
So you're going to dig yourself. Let's go.
When I first virtually met you on the sober sessions, obviously we met you via Sober Dave, and I'd not seen much of you at that point. I was fairly newly sober when all that started, so I wasn't massively into looking online or anything. And Instagram and Facebook, don't even get me started. I didn't even have that until last year. So anyway, I went on and when you see people, anyone in real life, whether it be you, whether it be anyone, I just think when they speak and when they move, they look different than what their photos look. That's just generally. But then I had this same image of like, right, I'm going through your Instagram, make sure, yeah, you've got good questions, you know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And then when you come on, I thought, oh, that's not what I thought Clemmie looked like. So it happened again. I don't know why. I have no explanation for you. It's certainly no judgment. It's no criticism. And it's not a good bad thing. You're just different than what my head tells me you look like.
I know what you mean. It's like I've got a couple of friends who like are locked into my head that they're blonde because they were blonde 20 years ago, and then you see them and you're like, oh no, you're not, or that they've had a bob, and then my hair's a lot longer, but you don't. But
Say
again,
that
you haven't
actually,
seen
your
people
hair
ever.
is a lot longer.
That might be it. Your hair's grown. That's it. I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it, Clemmie. You
Yeah,
found out that.
But isn't everyone's hair longer? We've been stuck in lockdown for eternity. It's like,
Except for if you've stuck a bowl on your head
Yeah,
and cut
look
your
at
fringe.
Alex's fringe. Look, she cut it herself the other day.
Do you know what? One of our members said they liked it the other day. I had to cut it. It was down here, and I just thought, well, I did the little twizzly
done all
trick.
right.
I did the twizzly trick that you twist your hair 3 times and then snip, and then you separate it out, and it's actually not that bad.
yes, yeah, you've done all right. You've done all right.
It'll grow. That's the good thing about hair. It grows.
It does. It does.
So, can we start by just finding out a little bit about your sober journey, Clemmie, please?
Yes.
I'm gonna. This is quite a serious subject, but I'm going to basically giggle all the way through this now. We just looked, didn't we? I am like 1 year and 9 months sober. And actually, I was lying in bed this morning thinking, wow, that 2-year mark is going to come around really soon. And I actually cannot believe it. And I feel, especially now, because I last drank in 2019 and the last couple of years have been so epic that is like feels absolutely mad. My sober journey is that it's really hard to encapsulate it, isn't it? But I started drinking at the end of my teens and partied my way through to my 20s, and if I'm honest, I often like drunk to a point of blackout, quite often, but it's what everyone did. I think we're probably, I'm guessing, similar ages. It was a real like, I was the back end of the ladette culture when like it felt really rebellious to drink pints, to try and keep up with the boys, and to have a good time. And I didn't think anything of it because I was hanging out with a crowd that liked partying, thought it was normal. And then I went into advertising for my career, which is also work hard, play hard industry. So, you know, booze was part of my working life as well, which again, I thought was brilliant. Free bars, often, loads of free booze, and it being a massive norm to be pretty hammered in and around work. But bit by bit, I started getting these terrible, terrible, terrible anxiety-driven hangovers, crippling really. But again, I was never sick or anything, so I just thought when people were complaining about hangovers, they were feeling the same as me. Yeah. But it was pretty high level self-loathing. And then fast forward a bit, and I've got 3 kids. They're 8, 6 and 3, and actually for the bulk of my 30s I have had patches of sobriety or relative sobriety because I was pregnant or breastfeeding. And then actually, as I came off the back of my 3rd daughter, I was like, amazing, back on the bandwagon, I'm going to be able to start drinking again properly. And I started not drinking like I had in my 20s, but drinking again. And just this, it would trigger my mental health into a terrible, terrible place. But I just didn't quite match the 2 up. And then I reflected, actually, my lowest moments in my life have always been at a point that I was also partying pretty hard. I just had never joined the dots. I thought that they were 2 separate things. And then it got to a point where really before I'd even had that first drink, I was hating myself. But I would still do it. And it's such a bizarre thing now I talk about it. It's like, why did you carry on? I could just go on this, but especially if you come out the back of motherhood, I was so desperate to cling on to the earlier version of myself that I felt like alcohol was the way to do it. And at the point of giving up, I thought I was just giving up to save my mental health, which is the top line of it. But then you look back and have conversations with people, and it's like, oh, I was drinking to the point of blackout. I was drinking with shame tied up in it. I was being someone that I'm not. Like, I thought fun, drunk Clemmie was great, and I thought everyone thought she was great. Maybe I wasn't great at all. And so I think I'm sure you'll relate to this. People are, oh, but you're not an alcoholic. Alcohol was not going to cost me my marriage and my relationship and my job, but it was pushing a lot of things pretty closer to the edge than I realized. And so yeah, I did have a problem with alcohol, I think, but it's really interesting because I think so many people do, so that's normalized, and that's what's really the biggest thing about this journey, is like, especially as we come out of this pandemic eventually, you know, I think, yeah. So there you go, that's just me talking and talking.
How are you feeling about coming out of the pandemic, Clemmie? Like, because, you know, we've seen online there's like this build up of excitement and freedom, and people, you know, looking forward to that time when they can go to the pub, like we said last night, rather than see the gran. They're like dead excited. So do you see a lot of that, and how do you feel about coming out of it?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. You know, there's that meme that went around everywhere of like people paralytically drunk in the street on June the 21st. I'm looking forward to, of course, this being over. For me, getting the kids back to school is the thing that is going to shift everything, and I'm looking forward to seeing, all the things, hugging people, being near my friends and family. I don't want to go back to the old life. I think loads of us have realized that, but I'm going to own this. I feel hugely grateful that I haven't been drinking in the last year, because I haven't enjoyed it, and there's been some dark times, but I can now say I've been keeping fit and I've been sober. And so I don't, you know, there's all this thing, people having to lose weight to come out of lockdown, which I don't agree with either. And people will have difficult relationships with alcohol, and I think it's going to be really scary. But yeah, I do feel proud that I've broadly, my husband would argue, I've kept my head above water, just about.
I think your journey sounds very much like mine. In fact, you said you're 1 year, 9 months. So does that mean you got sober in June?
Yeah.
So did I. So I was June the 2nd.
May, 10th of May.
Day before
really?
my birthday. Yeah, so we're kind of almost together, and I'll be 2 years in June. You'll be 2 years, a month before me. But my stopping was for the same reasons that you stopped. So I realised I had anxiety.
Really?
I actually had a life event, but that led to anxiety. And for a while, my anxiety actually got worse when I stopped drinking. But it sounds so similar in that I had no idea that alcohol was impacting everything else in my life. And like you say, you know, if somebody died, if something happened, they were the times I was partying, and I put the grief and the distort and the self-destruction down to the events, rather than the fact, well, actually it was the alcohol which was heightening and worsening those events. And now, you know, I've dealt with quite a lot in this, like we all have as a nation. But, you know, on a personal level, I've been through some pretty big life events over the last 12 months. And like you say, come out and actually know myself better than I've ever known myself. And drinking, that would not have been the case. That would definitely not.
And I think someone said to me, like, the first year of sobriety is like absolutely joyful. Like, I was high as a kite and chatting with each other. And then the second year, you have to really stare into some of the hard work around it. And yeah, I have felt all the feelings, but I think you just have to learn to sit. I mean, I've definitely still shoved too much chocolate in my face, but you know, you have to find a checkout somewhere. But I've had to sit in all of my own misery, anxiety, anger, frustration. But actually, if you learn to sit in it, it is much more short-lived, rather than the masking that goes on with alcohol, which I think for some people will literally come and smack them in the face on June the 21st. You know, that national hangover, possibly. Oh, it makes me really worried for people.
At what point, Clemmie, did you think to yourself, I don't want to go back to my old self?
Actually, when I realised I couldn't, that it didn't work, you know, I had a good crack at it, and it just, the anxiety was so overwhelming. The night that I stopped, I went out, I met some friends at lunchtime, and we've been drinking during the day, and I had 2 gins, and I went home at 9 o'clock because the self-loathing had kicked in so badly. And they went out till like 4 a.m, massive night. And the next day on WhatsApp, they were like all this banter and they're feeling great and laughing. I was just like, this is screwed. I hate myself, and I can see objectively that actually I really didn't do anything wrong last night, but I hate myself. So it just became unbearable, you know. And I don't know how your journey started, but I didn't mean to give up alcohol forever. I was like, I'm going to try this for a month, and just the lights come back on and you're just like, oh right, yeah.
It's so similar. Both of us did the same. Lisa 100 days, me 30, and then thought, you know what, this is just too good to give up. Why would you? Anyone who's experienced this out of choice, and I don't mean pregnancy, because you've had 3, we've all of us have had our 3 children here, so we can all relate to this. Huge periods of...
That's 9 children between us. That's actually ridiculous.
Populated the world.
In the last year.
But it's the thing is that it's like, you know, having those children, going through those pregnancies, going through breastfeeding, you think you've got drink under control because you're not drinking during that. Oh, I can give it up because look, I'm pregnant, I've not drunk. Oh, I've not drunk for 9 months. I've not got a problem. But actually, when you give up out of choice, not a dry January, not a sober October, not a pregnancy, but give up to give it a go because you want to see what sobriety is like, it's a whole different experience, I think. Do you agree?
I couldn't agree more, partly because for me, I think, if I'm honest, a lot of why I kept drinking was to conform with social expectation. And so when you have to start owning it and going, and to caveat that, actually, once people know you are serious, people don't give you stick. I really think that, because that's such a blocker for people. They really don't. People really don't care. Actually, people are completely there for their own purposes, fair enough. And people always say to me, oh, do you feel like you're not invited to things? And it's like, if there are a few people I think probably weren't inviting me to stuff because I don't drink, and they aren't my friends then, you know. The thing when you get sober is your time is so precious. I can't fake having a good time, so therefore I'm not going to go somewhere where I'm not going to have a good time. And it's really simple. If I have to rely on a couple of glasses of Prosecco to get me in the mood, then I'll rather just stay at home. Not anymore. To be honest, right now I'd go to anything, anywhere.
Yeah, like the opening of an envelope. Can I ask you
that? Yeah, quite literally.
Clemmie, because your drinking to me sounded like, I really resonate with it. The self-loathing, the waking up the next day. I hated myself. When you were saying it, I could feel it rising in me, how I used to feel. And like you, I wouldn't have ever really done anything that was that far out, but I just hated myself. Do you still suffer from anxiety around?
I do, but I don't hate myself, like, and you just realize to put yourself through that on a weekly, monthly, bi-weekly basis of literally loathing yourself is so bad for you. Like, it's such a cruel thing to inflict on your brain, isn't it? No, because I know what I've said and done. I know that it's like, that's the thing. Even though in my 20s I did some stuff I wouldn't have been proud of, but in my later years, if I was a little bit too lippy, I just don't even want to be that person that's slightly gossipy or says a little bit more than I want, or a little bit more. I want to be measured and know exactly what comes out of my mouth. And so, yeah, I do. I will always suffer with anxiety when the going gets tough and I get overwhelmed. But yeah, it's like it dictated my entire life for quite a long time, and only when I'm sitting here reflecting, thinking, wow, I'm really out of the day-to-day like shackles of that, which is amazing.
Yeah, you were the same, weren't you, Lisa? So I, like what I've just said to you a second ago, that you remind me of me in many ways. I didn't get the morning after hating myself. I was the person who was in the WhatsApp group going, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. I'd have been that person.
She loved it. It was awful. She used to send the pictures and everything. I'd be like, throwing my
But Lisa was very much like you. She'd be like, I've deleted it. I don't want to see it. Don't send me anything. Don't send it me, Alex. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And I'd be like, yeah, but you've done nothing wrong. There's nothing that bad, I promise. But I don't want to know. She had these like...
It's horrible, isn't it? I can feel it.
I was making my whole body crawl.
So I think you're quite a blend, really, of like our sober journey. But I think the the bits about, you know, the friendships, that's quite an important point, I think, because people have this fear around giving up and thinking everybody's going to outcast them and that's it. And with me personally, and I know with you, Lisa, at first people did say, oh, come on, just have one, or, you know, well, why are you not drinking, or didn't believe you would carry it on. But as soon as you sort of say, look, this is for the long haul, take me or leave me, and you've got that confidence, those that leave you, you're glad they've left you, because you don't want that toxic nature in your life.
No, and I tell this story a lot, but about a year ago, one of my best mates, Laura, texted me and said, Clemmie, I want you to know that you are more fun now than you've ever been on a night out. And it's one of the best things that I've anyone's ever said to me, because I thought I was being fun, but I wasn't being me. And like, you know, as you know, the joy of being sober is if you have a night out and you have those belly laughs, they're for real, you know, the banter's for real. And it's like, it's such a gift. And I think this is completely made up, but I think you get better, your body gets better at producing that kind of serotonin. I'm getting better at finding the natural highs now and getting high off everybody else. Like, there's nothing better if everyone else is tipsy, then you really do sometimes feel quite tipsy yourself, don't you? And it's really bizarre.
It's so lovely. I remember a time with me and Mum, because my mum stopped drinking about when I got to 100 days. She was like, I want some of that. So she's sober now too, which is just incredible. And we were really bad. We used to go for family meals and I'd be like, oh, let the kids have a day off tomorrow. Grandma's day off, we used to call it. How bad's that? Like, we'd get drunk on a Sunday and then they'd go, oh, can we have a grandma's day off? Like, but when... I know, it's really bad, isn't it? Like, they loved it. They said, no, once a year you can have it, but I'm sure it happened more. But we went out. Anyway, enough of that. We went out for a meal and we were both sober, and me and my mum was there, and we had like non-alcoholic lagers, and we were laughing so much. And I remember the kids looking at each other and they were just like, are you sure there's no alcohol in them? And we just looked at each other, and the joy of just thinking, you know, we can show them that you can have this incredible time and real belly laugh more than ever. Because if you think about it, when you're drunk, you're just like, a lot of the time, you're just pretending to laugh, aren't you? Like, and then it's not even real,
well, the window is so small. Like, there was a bit of being drunk that is just like the bit, but it is so short-lived. And then after that you're just, I don't know, it's just like, it's just once you step away from it, it's utterly bizarre. It's just this liquid, like a toxic liquid that we all pour down our throats.
It's mad, isn't it? We dress it up so much, and we put all, like, everything onto this drink. We give it so much credit, and we choose to have a
especially
more expensive one and judge people if they don't.
Poison. Somebody gave a study out the other week, and it was a huge thing on the internet, on Instagram anyway, and it was saying that wine is proven to improve your I think it was something to do with your health, but I think it was cholesterol anyway. But they said against other alcohols like cider and beer, wine's the best. So I was like, right, do we all know that cider, lager, beer, spirit, wine, it's all ethanol? So if that was the case, then surely you'd see these health benefits across the different alcohols. Or let me get this right, are you saying that the hops and the apples stop the alcohol working? So like, it's the grapes,
Tell you what's better for your cholesterol is not drinking, getting up, doing some exercise, not eating hungover food. That'll do it. It's just like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's utterly bizarre. And I always think, like, with that kind of ladette culture that we're, you know, the generation of, I now think that this like feels like a massive act of rebellion. Like, people think that sobriety is a missing out. It's like, no, guys, I don't want to be you. I don't want to drink. Like, I feel like I've absolutely nailed it. I went away with friends in the window when that was the sort of thing you could do last summer, and I just thought, as we came back from holiday, that part of that crash that you get back from holidays because you spent a week drinking. Like
Yeah.
there's no crash after the good times. I just go, that was a good time, and then straight away the next day I feel great. It's not kind of either or on a good time and then the implications of it.
Our Jo was saying, and she's 2 years sober today. By the time this comes out, it will be a bit longer. But yeah, happy Soberverse for Jo when you're listening. If you listen, I don't think she listens to us, does she?
She doesn't. She keeps wanting to come on and we're like, no, you don't even listen to him, Jo.
So anyway, she was saying she did her first kind of holiday away was a hen party, and everybody was drinking and she was sober, and she came back and on the day did a big 5K run, and like, you know, you wouldn't have ever done that before. How many times do we hear, oh, I need a holiday to recover from a holiday? You know, like, what are we doing? I this is judgmental. I'm not even going to lie. I am judging completely here. But I do look at people now and I think it's quite sad. And I don't mean this in a judge way. I don't mean you're a sad person. Genuinely mean it's a sad thing that what you're looking forward to is getting drunk outside of your house. Because you've been getting drunk through the lockdown. Now you want to go and get drunk outside of your house. It's what is wrong that we are a society of people who can't live without substances? What has happened to us?
Do you not think though, it's like somebody said yesterday, it's a lot more about the connection and people haven't been connected. So the UK is known, isn't it, for drinking and going. We associate alcohol with connecting with people. Yeah. So I kind of think
I do get it. But what I'm saying is, we can do that in a coffee shop, we can do that in a park, we can do that in a bowling alley. Nobody's talking about doing those things. Nobody's talking about visiting the
bowling alley.
Do you know what I mean?
You're desperate to go bowling.
I don't do bowling.
You can't wait to put on the little shoes.
You don't have to wear them anymore.
COVID-y shoes.
Honestly, they don't make you wear them anymore. I know, because I go bowling, all right.
You're probably not allowed to put your fingers in the balls anymore.
Right, that's a point. Maybe you have to wear gloves.
That sounded worse than it.
Lisa wants to put her fingers in the balls and I just want to go bowling. But anyway, can I just say that nobody's talking about those, whatever your sober activity is, whether it's bowling or otherwise. If it was purely about connection, then surely we should be just talking about meeting up and going and doing things. We watched the documentary on Amazon the other night, A Royal Hangover, and it was so poignant. It's quite an old documentary, it's like 2013, but watch it if you've not seen it. There was such poignant moments in there, and you know, we are a booze nation, we are Booze Britain, and it just shows that Britain must be hugely depressed because all we're doing is numbing out real life. We numb it out as a society. It's very sad.
Yeah, it is. Like, someone wrote a piece for my blog which was like, not liking alcohol is one of the most unpopular opinions you can have. Like, rightly, you know, racism, homophobia, all of that is no longer appropriate. But if you dare suggest that you don't want to have a drink on a lunchtime, you're like shunned. And it's just like, number one, for loads of people, religious reasons. And the thing I always say is, when I was drinking, I assumed that everybody was drunk. And actually, in any given moment, you've got people with health problems or mental health problems or pregnant or sober. You know, loads of people aren't, but you just see the whole world through that lens when that's what your priority is.
And more so. Let's talk about your blog and onto your writing, because you've got a book out now. Well.
I have. Yeah, I'm going to do the picture. That was me prepping myself. I've got a book called But Why, which is how to answer tricky questions from kids by having honest conversations with yourself. It's out in May. And I signed the book deal in April 2020. And I don't know what I thought that book was going to be, but to spend 2020 asking yourself, like, what is love? What is God? What happens when people die? Why do I have difficult feelings? Why do people get drunk is one of the questions. And so I went and I spoke to a load of experts both in terms of their job, but experts by experience, and tried to like get well, my series does, I mean, kind of crowdsource the answers as well as my own answers as a mum of three, and just give some pointers of where to start, because when I was a parent, I thought I was going to nail this bit, and then the reality is you have a kid and they ask you like, what happens when people die, but they do it at Tuesday night, when
In
you
bed,
want to
yeah.
have dinner. Yeah, and you're like, are we really doing this chat? Because I really haven't got the energy. And like, these are the big things that suddenly it's like, I actually don't know what the answer to this is. And you don't want to say something quickly, and you don't want to not say something. And so it's provided a framework for doing that. Yeah, it was an existential crisis. There's no two ways about it.
Clemmie,
But-
this book is genius.
I
Like,
think it's genius.
I do. Like, everybody should have that. You are going to save so many parents' jobs. Like, instead of just going, because you just die, all right, it'll be like, get the book off the shelf.
Because it's like, you don't tell them that they're sleeping. Don't tell them that they're like, oh, whoever's gone to sleep. No, because then they're never going to want to go to bed again. And it's just like,
yeah.
Yeah, they
Such
call
an
it the
easy-
eternal sleep, and I've done
Yeah.
quite a bit. I've got a 4-year-old, and he asks, "You'll know if you've got a 3-year-old." He asks some bizarre questions, and one of them is like, you know, when will I die? He's asked me, when will I die? Well, you know, like, first of all, let's address what do you mean by die? Does he actually mean die? Does he know what die means? And it opens up this massive thing where you just start doubting how good of a parent you actually are. I'm sure
But
my
also,
other
I
two
think-
didn't ask that. Maybe I just ignored them because I was drunk.
You joke or you gave them good. But also the thing that it's taught me is that we need to have, we're in an era where the person that shouts loudest on the internet is the person whose opinion that we hear. And it's really overwhelming. And alcohol's a prime example of that. Like, you just go along with the majority, and then you have to go, actually, what do I think? What are my beliefs on this? And be prepared to stand by them, and also be prepared to change your mind. You know, I was in the lens of alcohol, I would have once been definitely, I used to drink in front of my kids and thought it was a laugh, and now I'm swayed so far the other way. And yeah, it's just stopping and thinking and being honest and being prepared to keep learning. I hope it's useful. It was an unbelievable undertaking. I don't know what I was thinking.
And is it out this May?
Yeah, May the 27th, but it's available to pre-order now.
Brilliant. I'll be doing that when we get off this call. Genuinely, I'm
Please
going to get
do.
that. Yeah. Are you going to
Yeah,
have
I think every
Put it
house
all in
should
there.
have that.
Yeah. Are you having an audio version?
Yeah. I'm luckily not having a video version because apparently I don't look quite the same on the video.
Nobody will recognise you from your book anyway.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Clemmie. It'll be fine. You'll be walking down the street and people will say, oh, no, that's not her. She's moving. I don't, honestly, I'm still like, I really hope I haven't caused you to overthink that like forever, because I swear.
No, I just think it's the most weird thing.
I am a bit weird. Yeah, and
Say it.
now
I'm all for honest conversation.
Yeah, maybe you should put a chapter in your book, like, you look different on camera than you do on a photograph, but why?
Oh, Clemmie, thank you so much. It's been so lovely to speak to you. And honestly, I really love the idea of this book. I'm going to get it. My eldest is 22. And I might sit with her, like, any questions that we didn't answer growing up. But so everyone should have it.
Clemmie looked massively surprised when you said she was 22. I've just got to say, Lisa was a young mum, and it didn't.
I wasn't that young though.
Well, you were.
How young were you? How old are you?
I was. Oh God, I was 19 when I had Beth, so I'm like 41 now. So I was young, but I weren't like 12.
I just
I didn't say you were underage, mum.
No, and even if you were, that would be fine. It's just like you're parenting an actual teenager,
an actual adult.
And also that, to be fair, of all, like, it's been really hard on our school age kids, but or primary school age kids, but they are going into a weird old world, aren't they? It's really rough for them.
Clemmie,
Crazy.
My son has just turned 18 in January, and I just, I feel so sorry for them. They just, they can't meet up, they can't go out, it's just like such a...
It's shit.
And I just can't imagine how we'd have felt at that age. And this, and I can see, and the mental health is like, that's just a whole nother story, isn't it?
It's massive, isn't it, Lisa? Because I've got 2 teenagers as well as the 4-year-old, and my 15-year-old was supposed to be sitting his GCSEs this year, and people are saying, let's cancel the exams. It had a huge impact. he's worked all his life for those GCSEs, and his opportunity to, for some people it's like, oh well, glad I don't have to do my exams, but his opportunity to demonstrate his ability in the way of an exam, for him, I'm not saying it's right for everyone, but for him,
because on the other
end,
yeah.
I've got some of his friends, I've got friends who are parents of other children in his year group, and they're like, oh my goodness, thank God it's going to be class-based assessed, because she's better in classroom than exams, or he's better in classroom than exams. But it's affected everybody. It's just so sad. It really is.
It's and of course loads of it will shift over the next 6 months, but the long tail effect of it all, similar to you, I've got my 3-year-old, it's been a third of her life. I mean, it's just the most mad thing, like masks and distancing, and I mean, we all know it's been absolutely wild, but you know what, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, so we've got to be grateful for that.
Yeah, and I think in the meantime, if everybody, and I'm going to say it again, but if everybody buys your book, then they're going to have all the answers to all these tricky questions going forwards anyway.
Yeah, I hope so. Or some of them. I've done a bit. I mean, you can't hand over the rest of it to me, but I've done a chunk of it for you.
I'm excited for it. So, as Lisa says, thank you so much for taking your time to come on and so on. If you just hang on for a second at the end as well, because sometimes people just disappear and we're like, oh, they've gone.
It's always weird. I do with my own one. It's like, is this the end or just the end?
It's just the end.
Okay, I'll hang on.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.